Good day, students. This is your teacher Nicolas Toussaint for your course Digital at Saxion University of Applied Science. In this tutorial video, I will show you how to install and set up Altera Max Plus 2 and the programmer for the lab. On Blackboard, you can find this file, the Altera Max Plus 2, unzip it and copy this to an easy to find location on your computer. Please note you need a Windows computer to do this. If you have a Mac, you'll need a virtual machine and you'll need to copy those files to your virtual machine. I'm using here a Windows XP, but other versions of Windows are working as well. So when you have the files ready, just launch Student 102, and this is a simple installation package. I'm gonna fast forward this process because it's pretty straightforward. Once that's done, the installer is gonna close, and if you look in your start, you will find Max Plus 2. You can open that. You will just need to say yes and just say no at the moment and go to license setup. Then you want to browse for your license. I copied everything on the desktop, and you see that this is not really an easy way to browse files on your computer. That's why I recommend you to copy the install files on the desktop so you can find easily that license.dat file that you need. Just say don't show this message again and say OK, and now we have license Altera Max Plus 2. We can close it. And now proceed to install the programmer. This is gonna copy some temporary files somewhere. I will put them on the desktop. So this is not the installer. This is a program to unpack the installer files. It's gonna take a while. Once that's done, the real installer should start. Then you can go and agree and just keep going. On some computers this can take a while, so once again I will fast forward this. Once the programmer has reached 100%, it will ask you if you want to delete the temporary files that the first program extracted. Just say yes, and now we can run Max Plus 2 and in a few minutes program the Altera board. Let's make a new file, and we want to use the graphic editor GDF file, and let's save it somewhere right away. And please always do that in the documents and settings of this computer, My Documents. I will make a new folder for all my Max Plus projects. Max Plus. You can give it another name, no problem. So it's Document Settings, and then My Documents, Max Plus. For instance, let's name it Week 2. Once you've done that, you see that this is Week 2, but this is still Untitled 1, because you still need to do Set Project to Current File. Now you see the right path that we've chosen before. Do Save. And now we can insert a few things. We can insert symbols using the prim library. We can use an AND gate. And we can zoom in a little bit on the AND gate. And import an input. Just type input in the symbol name and press enter, and it's showing up right away. You can select stuff and move them around. If you bring those two guys next to each other, they will make they will be connected together automatically. Now we can do Control C and Control V to make a copy. Once again, like that, they're connected. We do another symbol, an output. And once again, I bring it here and it's connected. Now I can edit the pin name by double clicking in the field and say A, B, and C. And save this. So now we can tell the software which chip we're going to use. we are using a development board with an Altera chip on it, and you can assign a device right here. The family, and be really careful, it's not the 7000, it's the 7000S. And we can uncheck this and select the first one. If you look carefully at the square black chip on the board, you will see Altera EPM 7032 S LC 44-10. This is the right chip. Select OK. I really recommend you to save from time to time so you don't lose anything if there's a crash. Then we can assign a pin to this input. And if we look at the tutorial for week 2, page 7, and you can print this out because you will need it for basically the whole quarter. So if we look at the schematic, we can see that the switches are connected to those inputs. And let's use 17 and 16. Those are the first one. So 17 for A and 16 for B. And the LED, the first LED is connected to 31. So right click, assign a pin 31. We can save this. So now that we have this little circuit ready, which is an AND gate with 2 inputs and 1 output, we can go to File, Project, Save and Compile. And it might give you a warning the first time you compile it, but it should not give you any errors. Now we'll proceed to create a waveform editor file. And we want to save this. I don't want to keep this name untitled 4. I want to actually use the same name as the GDF. And you can see already for testing purposes before this video I already did a SCF called week 2, but please use the same name, okay? So I will override it. And now we can insert nodes, and nodes are basically our inputs and our outputs. You can see here across the timeline we're going to be able to simulate changes on those inputs and observe the outputs. And we can unzoom to actually see more, and we'll be able then to make selection and to say maybe A was on between 100 and 300 nanoseconds and B was on between 200 and 400. Save this. This is basically simulating someone switching on the switch on the board and switching it off. And we can do project, save and simulate. It's telling you there's one warning, project does not contain input node C. Yes, because I made a mistake. If you double click here, you see that I said that C was an input, which is untrue. C is an output. Okay, save and simulate again. And now there's no errors, no warning. And I like to constantly double click on this to have it full screen. And now we see that our little circuit is working when A and B are true at the same time, which is the AND function. C will be also true. And what we see here between 200 nanosecond and 210 nanosecond is a little bit propagation delay. And we also find that propagation delay here when A turns to false. Okay, so now we want to upload this to the board. So you take your Altera board and USB cable and you plugged it in. The virtual machine is going to ask me, where do I want to connect this thing? On my Mac or on my Max Plus virtual machine? I want it on the Max Plus virtual machine. Then on Windows, you have to scroll to the device manager. When you plug it in, it's going to try to install the driver by itself. Say no. Okay? You want to look for something called the device manager on this very old Windows. I know it's here. If you have a newer version, a more recent version of Windows, there's usually a search field here. You just can type in device manager and it will pop up automatically. So the USB blaster You want to right click and get update driver. If you don't see this, then maybe your USB cable is not working, or the board is not working, or if you're using a virtual machine, it's not recognized by the virtual machine. Then say, no, not this time. You want to basically manually browse to that location. And that location is C, Altera, not Max Plus 2, Altera, 12, QProgrammer, drivers, USB blaster. Once you're there, do OK, press next. And it's going to do its thing. Finish. And you see now there's no exclamation points or yellow stuff anymore. Now we can browse and open the programmer, the QProgrammer. And if we click on hardware setup, we should see the USB blaster in the list because we installed the drivers and the board is plugged in. Close. And we want to add a file. And the file is basically the location where I saved the Max Plus 2 project. Oh, it's an administrator, my documents, Max Plus. And to program the board, we choose the POF file. Double click on it, and you have to check this box. Basically, you're telling the programmer what do you want, which operation do you want to do. Do you want to verify after programming? You could do that. Sometimes that's taking a little bit longer. Once you've done that, you can do start, and it's going to start programming. You see here the progress bar. You see the LED flashing on the board. And 100% when it's completely successful, you can take the board, turn the two switches on, and see the LED L0 turns on. Yes? And that's it. Please really follow this video very carefully. If you have problems and your computer is not compatible or it's really not working, we have computers in the lab that you can use. Don't waste time trying to make this software work on your computer if it's a real struggle. That's it, and I'll see you in the lectures.